Hi, folks. Welcome. I'm Kim Jennings with Generis, and this is my colleague Todd Turner. We're here to talk about digital communications and your K-12 school, and specifically, what are the major pitfalls to avoid in your K-12 school when you're mapping your fundraising messaging across all of your digital communications?
Yeah, right now, one of the trends that I see is it's very complicated for K through 12 to do their normal messaging across all their platforms. It's already very busy with school and teacher communications, and some of our donors, parents, alumni can all get sort of tone deaf to the messaging, and they don't know when to engage and when not to. And when you add a fundraising event, it's hard to separate that or insert that into the noise. What I find, it either adds to the chaos, or their organizations aren't very complex anyway, and then all they do is talk about fundraising, and it's a little too much. So you have to balance that out.
That's so true. I was talking with one school who their alumni were hearing nothing but fundraising messaging, and so they got tone deaf, as you're saying. And so, eventually the giving trickled down. And so, let's talk a little bit about. We want to talk today a little bit about how we can reach out to our alumni and our parents and messaging and cut through that chaos. But specifically, let's talk today about websites and social media and email. So let's start with websites. What are your thoughts on the pitfalls for fundraising and websites?
Yeah, so the issue with websites are some schools, I find that things normally fall on both sides of the pendulum, right? To the one or the other. But the far side of this pendulum is building a website for one audience. Like sometimes
Mm,
you build it just for future students.
yes.
Sometimes you build it for current. Sometimes you build it for alumni and fundraisers. And the reality is it has to be a balance of all three. But taking it to that balance sometimes swings it over to the other side of the pendulum, which is throw everything on the homepage. And now the homepage has so much clutter, I don't know the story anymore. So I feel like there needs to be already a healthy balance of how a school communicates. Then adding the fundraising becomes a little bit easier as you put links on the homepage or in the nav to the areas of the site to tell what part of the story. You can't tell every part of the fundraising story on the homepage. And so I'm really big on getting a homepage healthy just for the school in general, and then figuring out how we want to funnel people over to the fundraising story, depending on what it is, right? I mean, are you building a building, or is it a scholarship program, or whatever? But creating a homepage that's easy to navigate and it works for all the different audiences is very key.
Mhm. Are there a couple of things that you might think, I see sometimes on the Give page, um, it's either super cluttered with a lot of things, or it's like nothing at all, just a dropped in, form.
Yeah.
Um, what are some, maybe the one or two tips that that a Give page should include that would help to be compelling for a school to get
Sure.
through?
Sure. I'm going to back up a little bit, and then I am very big on creating unique gift pages. One of the reasons the problem you mentioned is I think everybody tries to funnel just the idea of give, but
Mhm.
there people give for different reasons, and so if
Mm,
you give them different reasons to give, they need to be compelled to give on that give page. So I like keeping give pages simple, but with the message of the give. So if you want to give to a building, let's talk about the building. If you want to give to a scholarship, let's talk about the scholarship.
mhm.
So creating multiple give pages and reinforcing your gift message. Your dollar goes to this,
Mhm.
and look at the change it's going to make, and then it makes you want to give more to that. If you show up at a page for giving and you're there to give for the building, and it shows a picture of a kid with a backpack, and you're like, well, am I at the right page?
Mhm.
So creating a simple page targeted for the audience and for the gift that you want goes a long way.
That's fantastic, Todd. I'm a big proponent of landing pages for mini campaigns. So if you're doing a mini drive to try to build up parent participation, or there's like specifically a give day or some other challenge going on, I'm a big proponent of a school or any organization really that you have a landing page so that you can really drill down into the messaging specific to that mini campaign. But it's interesting. I never really thought about the concept of having something specific to the various buckets, so to speak. I think that's a fantastic idea. Helps
And I
people.
like to add to that, one other benefit is you get to create your unique landing page and messaging. Because once again, if everything fits in one bucket and you go to the building, and what happens if you land on a page that someone built 5 years ago? Thank you for giving to the 2019 school toy drive. You're like, that wasn't what I just gave to it. It forces you to think through the landing page and the next email that is generated back to them as a thank you, customizing that, and then they know that their gift was put in the right place and appreciated for that they gave to. So,
I love that. Yeah, I love that. There's been more than once where I've gone onto a page and it's like, thank you so much for giving to the 2018 golf tournament. And you're like, what?
I would have gave to.
So great point. Awesome. So let's also talk about a little bit about social media, because that definitely dovetails with website. So what are some things that, there's obviously with social media, you've got there's the sort of overall messaging about here's what athletics is doing, here's what the second grade is doing. There's all that kind of messaging. But then on top of that this is a snow day, or there's several different ways that information's going out. How does development fit into a social media plan?
Sure. I'm going to back up a little bit to the website and tie it in. And that is when you create the landing pages you were talking about for whatever campaign, sometimes there's a look or a name of that fundraising campaign or whatever it is. I like separating social media with maybe a watermark of the name of the program or whatever it is, so that they can see this is a little bit different than what they normally post. So you can, let's say you're doing a building and here's the walls came up, for the first wall came up on the new gym. And then it has a call to action that takes you back to the landing page, and they look alike, like whatever that color scheme is or whatever the thing is. Make sure social media ties it together so that if you click into the website, you just feel like you're involved in that one thing. So one is create a unique look and add it to the cadence.
So Todd, if you are thinking about the cadence of reaching out using social media to get across their messaging, is there a specific proportion that's helpful for schools to be thinking about, that they want to avoid asking too much, for example?
Yes, there is. There's not a perfect ratio of 10-1 or 8-1, but I tell clients at least be 3-1 with a cadence of positive, of something that's been done with a donor gift, meaning because of your generosity, look, the first wall is going up in our building, or hey, here's Bobby, he just got the first scholarship that we gave and he started his first day of school. Now your donors feel like, wow, my dollar is doing something, and you didn't ask me for a second dollar until you showed me what the first one did. So I say at least a 3-1. I would say that's probably true not only with the 3-1 of normal church or school communication, and then it's an ask, but 3-1 even in the campaign itself. Just talking about milestones and positive energy before you do ask. If every time they hear from you you're asking, that's just not going to go well.
No, it's so true. It's so true. And one of the things I heard somewhere that talking about you made a difference. So if you are to categorize your communications, generally speaking, the things you're pushing out through social media or email, there's the various categories of things you'd send out. But as I was mentioning earlier, the sort of urgent kind of messaging from a school versus the sort of programming, so to speak, athletics or whatever, guidance. But the other thing is the you made a difference category. So how is it that you're sending out information, both social media and email, that is indicating to people that you made a difference? I think that sometimes people get a little bit bogged down in, well, I'm sending information about you made a difference to everyone, or do I send it to, just to donors? And I think, tell me what you think about this, Todd. I think that it should go to everybody, because even if they haven't given yet, it's still reinforcing the fact that their donations are making a difference. If you choose to give, we hope you're compelled to give, But if you choose to give, then it is actually doing what you want it to do. It is making a difference in the life of a student. What are your thoughts on that?
I know, I totally agree. I'm really big on being authentic with a thank you, meaning I don't thank everybody for gifts if they didn't give, because nothing's more frustrating than saying, thank you for your gift and look what we did. I'm like, I didn't give you anything. Now I feel like I'm in the wrong email list. But I do want people to see that the gifts of generous donors have done this so that they want to be a part of it, to your point. So it's semantics with the words. Show everyone and be authentic with, because of the gifts of people who love our organization, look what we were able to do. That's good wording. But thank you for your gift, that's insincere, because it's not even true that not everybody gave. So just let everyone know how the needle's being moved with donations, but be authentic of who you think and who you don't.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I do find it's really challenging in K-12 schools that the segmentation and data is just a constant challenge of keeping clean data. And so I think oftentimes a school will just send out, for example, at the end of a challenge, an email to the whole school community saying, thank you so much for making this challenge a success. And if somebody didn't give a gift, it's insincere, it feels weird, or they'd be like, wait, did I make a gift, or did I did I participate in that? I don't, or did maybe my spouse? So yeah, I echo your thoughts on that. And that's a really good pitfall to avoid.
But if you don't mind, Kim, before we even leave social media, I want to throw a quick little nugget in, and that is on the Facebook header, like the big picture at the top of Facebook. Always be sure to add whatever fundraising campaign you have up in the picture, because it keeps it front and center, because it solves the problem that you're talking about, is that if we just keep throwing things on the wall, we all know that the Facebook wall just goes down and down and down and down and down, and you're only good as your last post. So what happens is people feel like, well, I need to make noise, I need to talk about things. Well, if you put up on the header, it's always there. So you can have your school logo and a picture of the kids going up to school, but put a little watermark on there, like, here's our current project, or here's our current fundraiser. They know if they click, they're reminded of it every day when they see that. And then they're also in the description, you can have different links, to learn more about what our new building or whatever. It's always front and center, and so you don't have to just holler as loud.
So smart, Todd. That is a really excellent point. I think one of the things that comes to mind that I feel is a constant struggle for, well, probably for every nonprofit, but schools certainly, is the branding, staying true to the branding, but also differentiating. So if everything you put out is your school colors, does it feel different enough to cause someone to pause and recognize that it's not just another post about athletics, for example? So, I love this watermark idea. Drill down in there just a little bit, and then I'd love to ask you about how that would how that would apply to emails and headers and so forth.
Sure. It's almost, well, I will say this. I'm really big on letting the website be the master, and then your emails and your social media sort of mirror that. So I would say mature your website look. And if you're telling a story that you're trying to fundraise to, you should sort of have some key imagery that's like, here's the problem and here's the solution. And then once you've set those up and sort of agreed that these are the 10 pictures we want to use, now your Facebook or your social media team now has the assets they need, and you keep with that look. So whether you go black and white and everything, or red is going to be our color, whatever it is, and just add that social media. But you don't have to have your left hand, your social media team, trying to be creative, and then your web team has another look. That's just disjointed. Make sure everybody's on the same page. Find your story, stick to your story, and once again, whether it's a watermark, color, or putting the name of the campaign on top of everything, whatever it is, just be consistent.
Yeah, that's great. So let's touch just briefly a bit on some pitfalls that we want to avoid in emails. Gracious, K-12 communication, emails, blasts, like 2 updates a week from the classroom, et cetera, et cetera. How in the heck do people break through and get their fundraising messaging across?
Yeah. So, wow, we could talk for an hour on this, but here's a couple quick highlights. I believe there should be a message cadence to everyone, but some people, when they create a campaign, they collect emails for that campaign. So if you want to stay up to date on this, give us your email. Well, those people are asking for more information versus those people over here who aren't. So I think that these people who aren't still need to be aware of milestones, but maybe those people who are really interested might want to know a little bit more. So you might have two different channels, and that solves a little bit of your problem. Because you want to make sure, and of course, if they're in this one, I would make sure they don't get this one. You got to do a little bit of the science project of who to mute, who not, to send it to. But the big issue here goes back to what we just said with social media. Your email should look different than a normal email, as you just said. Like, I need to know this is something different. It's not the same school letterhead that I'm going to ignore anyway because I'm running out the door, and this isn't, if school's not canceled today, I don't have time for this. And so you need to, maybe put the logo, like, once again, I go back to, if you're building a building, show that on the top, and you're like, oh, I know this is about that.
Yep.
And don't get in the weeds. If it's one thing to say the wall went up, it's another thing to say, hey, we got our roof today and we're so excited, please pray for this, or whatever it is. But to say, hey, the building permit got approved last week, no one cares but the job site guy.
It's really true. It's a matter of not manufacturing excitement and urgency, but which I think when you're trying to find ways to keep people in touch with what's going on and keep them in the loop. But if we're sending things like, we got the building permit, and too many times, then people will stop listening. They're going to tune us out. Yeah.
I would also say as well, depending on what the email is, I wouldn't always put a big donate button on every email. You can say, for more updates or detailed updates, click here, and they go back to your website, which then has a donation opportunity. But if you have a big donate now on all your emails, they're going to tune out again, and they're just going to say, this is just another ask for money.
Yeah.
It goes back to that philosophy of dollar in, dollar out. If you ask money to dig a well in Africa for clean water, you better show me that my first dollar either has a shovel in your hand or a kid drinking clean water. It works the same here. If you're saying we're giving out scholarships, don't ask me more about your scholarship until you show me we've set up a banquet and we, look who we gave it out to these 10 recipients. Or here's one guy, we only raised enough money for one, but look at the smile on this kid's face. We'd like to raise another. Now you want to give another. So your emails need to be full of, look what the last dollar did. And then you could say, learn more than just donate.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's really challenging because you think, it's true that in email marketing, just in general, there should be a call to action, but the call to action doesn't always have to be give a gift. It can be share this with someone who you think would really excited about the fact that we have a new gym, or share whatever. It could be any number of things. Ask for, give for more information, go to, and it drives you back to the website. But I think that's a really good thing to keep in mind, because if we are always including donate, it just is going to be like, oh, well, you're not actually telling me information. You're not really sharing information with me. What you really want to do is get me to give another gift. Which, on a side note, on the analog side, it's exactly the same reason why I don't think that it's a great idea to stick a BRE envelope in your school magazine, right? It may or may not be the right time to be asking for money. So either you're, thanking people and stewarding and cultivating and giving them great information about what's going on in your school, or you're asking. I don't think you can do both things necessarily very well at the same time. It doesn't feel
totally
genuine.
Agree. I'll throw a couple of good idea nuggets that we've done before. It's like, hey, this phase happened. We're all going to join Monday and circle up, and we're going to pray over the new youth room. So come on, and you still brand it part of the campaign, though you're not asking for money. Or, hey, our scholarship program, we now have a new web page for people to sign up. Go forward this email to 10 people you think that might enjoy coming to the school. And that's just good marketing and branding. And then they feel excited to be involved, and they didn't have to open their wallet.
Love that. Love that. Building community, which is incredibly important in a K-12 school. It's important all the time, but I feel like K-12 schools really are built on community. So that's a fantastic point. Thank you. Yeah. So if you feel like your school really would like to move the needle regarding fundraising, regarding digital communications, a digital strategy, please reach out to Generis, to Todd or myself, and we'd be really delighted to serve you. So thank you so much.